happy Sunday, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. I'm so excited. This has been, Daphne and I were just saying, this has been a work in progress for like, I think 2 months trying to just find a good date. And we're here. This is recorded, so everything will be accessible to our YouTube afterwards. Daphne and I are going to talk. We're going to have a little guided questions at first, and then we'll open it up to you guys for any audience questions. So please just make note of any questions that come up and hold them to the end because you guys will get a chance. But yeah, we're gonna dive in. Let me pin Miss Daphne so everyone, spotlight for everyone. There we go. You guys really got to bear with me with it. So yes, welcome Daphne. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay. Okay, so let me pull up my little screen. Okay, so we got a couple different categories we're going to talk through, but we got to start with kind of like the lore and how you got here. So I know most of the people on the call are probably familiar with Dream World Girl, but for those that aren't and maybe don't know the full story, like what kind of inspired you to make your own zine and what led you to creating Dream World Girl in particular?
Yeah, so I love lore questions. So I started Dreamworld last year in April, and it kind of came out of this desire to create something that felt like authentically me. I had worked on a lot of magazines in college, but I hadn't really done anything yet that felt like the truest representation of myself and like my creativity. So I was kind of like searching for a medium that would be cool for that. And zines are just so awesome. They're a really cool medium because they're accessible. Anyone can make them. There's so many different ways to make them, and they're community oriented. So I really wanted to kind of build a space where other people who also wanted to, be creative and like meet like-minded people could operate. So yeah, I settled upon like a zine idea. And then as far as the whole girlhood concept, girlhoods was something I used to make fun of. Like I thought it was so silly, mostly because I would see like edits on TikTok about it, or like people would always like describe it in very like superficial ways. And it wasn't until I studied abroad in 2023, and I was in a group of mostly girls, and a lot of them were queer too. And we just talked about girlhood in a way that I really hadn't thought about before. And it was just so nuanced and like very like nostalgic. And I don't know, when I was like thinking about like what would I want to create, girlhood just popped up as something that I could really like do cool things with. So yeah, it's kind of how it all got started. I literally just like did a first photo shoot and went from there.
That's awesome. I love that you just dived into it. I feel like a lot of times when people ask for advice, it's like, just do it.
Yeah,
Like, just go for it. Like, you don't
be
need to know.
impulsive.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. When you were first starting out, were there any inspirations or other magazines or maybe other just like creative mediums that inspired any of like the aesthetic or anything like that?
Yeah, so I feel like just in general, like Dreamworld is like very inspired by the late 90s and early 2000s. That's like a time period that we really take a lot of inspiration from. So like those teen mags, I think like I found a lot of Rookie mag like images when I was looking how to build the aesthetic. And as far as like just like general like zine formats and setups, there's this zine called Mr. Zine, and they're based in Boston, and like a classmate of mine started that. And so I thought that was really cool too, and just kind of took a lot of inspiration from her.
That's awesome. Small world. It's nice to be inspired by your peers too, because I feel like there's an
Right?
extra layer of inspo because you're like, I know you, like you're so fucking cool. That's awesome. So when you first launched, like what did success initially look like to you? What was kind of like the goal? And then how has that vision maybe evolved over time?
Yeah, totally. So for me, literally all I wanted to do was just get like a zine out and for people to think it was cool. Like like I really, when I started, it was just a hobby, like it was just something for fun. And I success for me was just like getting something out that people would enjoy. And now that's still very much so like the goal. I hope like people like the issues and stuff, but um I think over time, since we've like grown so much on social media, and I can really see this as like a career like later on, like I think success to me now means getting to do it like full time. That would be a dream. And also like I have this like pipe dream of doing a zine tour. You know how like authors do book tours and they like travel from different bookstores
That would
like
be
all over.
so sick.
But it'd be so cool if we could like travel with it and like bring it to a bunch of different people. So yeah, that would be like success for me now. But back then, just wanted to do a little something.
Totally. I feel like anyone in the zine community, when you ask them that, they're like, I just wanted to make something like that's cool that people ended up checking it out and fucking with it.
Yeah,
But I just wanted to like do something creative. And then of course then it leads to some like crazy thing. And as for
right.
like a zine toy, like we're manifesting that. That sounds absolutely amazing. Period. Okay, sweet. So then switching to kind of the creative process, because I feel like a lot of people don't realize like what goes on behind the scenes, right? Like whether you follow a magazine on Instagram or you read the digital copies, the print things, like you probably get a sense of what's going on, but like so much from behind the scenes to the beginning to actually printing it. So can you kind of take us through what your editorial process is looking like from getting a pitch to actual like publication?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this question because you're so right. There's always like so much going on behind the
Yeah.
scenes. So usually the first thing we do is come up with a theme for the zine, and sometimes it's me that's building the mood board for that. I know for this upcoming issue, I actually had everyone vote and like send in suggestions for a theme idea, and then we had like a voting meeting and just discussed, and then we came up with reminiscence. So first thing is picking a theme, and then from there I do kind of a production schedule. So I plan out like when I want to open submissions. Open submissions are usually for us like April to June and then October to December. So that's basically, if you're not familiar with like submission process, it's when anyone like anywhere can send in their writing or their art to the zine for a chance to get published. So we open up submissions so that we can like get like all kinds of artists in that publication, and then once those are done we have readers that read everything, so they read every single like written piece, and then we have like an art and photo team that review like other submissions, and from there we narrow it down to 25, which is a super small number compared to like the amount that we get, which
Yeah,
it's
that's
always
tough.
so hard
That's
because
really tough.
everyone so talented. Like genuinely, like my jaw was like on the floor, like looking at submissions this past time. But we have to get it down to 25, and then once we do that, we do editing and we do designs. And right now, we're literally like plugging the designs into the final software and sending it out to print. So it's like a full like fledged production, and in between that, there are photo shoots too.
That's
So,
amazing. Yeah, it really is a journey too. I feel like by the time you're getting to the actual print process or like you made your selections, you're like, so much has led us to get here. I
right,
mean,
it's a
like
journey.
the narrowing down curation, I feel like curation is one of the hardest parts, especially when you have like such an amazing community and audience. You're like, I hate to turn this away. Like everyone is so good, but we gotta make our selects.
Right.
Sweet. Okay, so then I'm curious to like what products are you guys using like for design? Are you in like Adobe like InDesign or like a little bit of Canva? What's going on there?
Yeah, so our designers use a mixture of Canva and Adobe.
Sweet.
So those are our two main ones, and they're so talented. I literally love them. Like what they do, I cannot do. So
Yeah, then would you mind telling us like what your kind of team structure looks like? 'Cause you mentioned you have people that are helping with the submissions, then of course you have photographers for the shoots and designers. Like what is making up the team right now?
for sure. Okay, so it's not a hierarchy. We are all bays and love each other. But like for the sake of explaining it, there's me and Isabel who are like the co-editors in chief, and so we're like managing and overseeing everything. I'm currently in LA, so like I like manage a lot of what's happening in LA, and Isabel manages a lot of what's happening in Boston. So there's us, and then we have our supervisors who each have a department. Um, so like there's design, editorial, and then marketing. So they kind of oversee that, and then under like each department there's like different roles. So editorial has the readers and editors, design has the designers, marketing has like all our social media people that are you see like online every single day because we post every single day. Sorry for being chronically online, but yes, so that's kind of like the structure. And the reason why I do it like that is because in my experience, like having like clear roles for people so that they understand like what they're doing and where they fit into the zine is really helpful. And it also just holds everyone accountable as well. It's like a very like chill kind of like community thing, but as we're growing, like I want to make sure everyone like knows like what's up, like what they're doing, and I feel like that format is like the pyramid one is the easiest way to do it. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, team building is just equally a value as every other aspect as you grow, right? You have your content, but you can only go so far as your team. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, then I would love, and I'm definitely interested in this personally, like what kind of, if you've ever struggled with creative burnout or imposter syndrome, and any tips and tricks for creatives that maybe on the call are inspired but have a hard time getting across the finish line just because they're feeling, overwhelmed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I often I struggle with creative burnout and imposter syndrome. The creative burnout part I think just comes from like how much we do, like the extent of like Dream World Girl. Like there's something happening like in every corner of like our little world, and it can get like very exhausting. And as far as the imposter syndrome part, like we grew so fast. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, even though like maybe I do, but like it feels like I'm winging it like every
Yeah.
day. Um, so like I always it's hard not to like compare yourself or to feel like you're not like qualified to be in like the space that you're in, especially like as a black queer woman, like oh it's rough. Like I can't help but feel like maybe like it's not my space. But I think the ways that I've combated that, there's three like big ones. The first one I would say is like leaning on my friends and my family and also the community, because they know me and they know like how hard I work and like how much I'm putting into it. So they're always like words of affirmation is like my number one love language. So hearing that and letting that sink in and knowing that's coming from someone who like truly knows you, like I think that that's always really helpful. I also feel like it's good to like take breaks, which is really hard if you're like me and you're a workaholic. Like oof, I really struggle. Like I had to like resist taking my laptop on vacation a couple weeks ago. Like it is really hard, but like genuinely like just like getting off the phone for like a couple of days, or like going out and like not looking at emails, or like turning off like your notifications so that you can like truly enjoy time like outside of like your zine making or like whatever your like creative like process is. And then also like kind of going off of that, like really finding things outside of your zine or outside of like what you're doing that like is totally separate. So for me like that's dance or like Netflix.
Yes, yes.
Like literally just finding like hobbies that like have nothing to do with your like publishing world. Like I think that that really helps too, because I can separate those parts of my identity and realize that the zine isn't all that I am. And when I realize that, then the imposter syndrome doesn't kick in as much, or the creative burnout doesn't kick in as much, because I'm also doing other creative things.
Totally. Well said. I mean, all points. And I feel like that's one thing that's hard. And I feel like most of the people on the call are creative in some regard. And it's hard when you're a creative person because you just want to always be doing something and being creative. And I feel like the trick to it's almost counterproductive, right? Like, okay, to be super creative, do things that aren't that. Like go outside, play a sport. Like you got to disconnect. And that allows you to like fully be in your creative element when it's time and then not get burnt out. But that can be hard because it can be such a forced thing. So thank you for sharing that. Very, very wise.
Thank you.
All right, let's dive into some kind of like business and then the community aspect. Would love to hear a little bit about like what's maybe been the biggest unexpected challenge of running the zine.
Literally the business aspect. Like I'm
You're like,
so
don't ask
type
me.
no guys, like I'm so type B. And I didn't go to school. I went to school for creative writing, guys. So I know nothing about like business models. I literally like have been teaching myself for the past year. So that's been like the hardest part, really, like registering for a business, like trademarking my stuff, or figuring out like the financial models and how I can like sustain it, sponsors, grants, like all of that is like a learning curve for me. So that's been like the hardest part, and I didn't realize that that was something I would have to do when I started, because when I started it was just for fun. So yeah, that's been like the most challenging part, I would say.
Yeah, fair. I feel like most people in the magazine world, they're like, I made this because I like curating or I like music or I like pretty things. And then you're like, oh, taxes. Like,
Right.
how do I
Yeah.
you
Right.
gotta figure it out. Well, then let's like dive into that a little bit more if you're comfortable sharing. Like, how do you guys kind of approach funding or sustaining the zine financially? And have any advice for people that are trying to figure that out, or are you guys still figuring that out?
For sure. Yeah, I can share what we're doing right now and then also what we like aspire to do, because there are some things that we like haven't yet
Nice.
gone into. But for sure, like as far as like what we're doing right now, I think we have like a lot of different avenues of revenue, which like that phrase, like you'll hear like a lot of content creators say that. They're like, yeah, like there's a lot of different like pathways that I have to do in order to
Multiple
like,
streams, yeah.
yeah. And like that's like pretty much like what we do too. So the big thing is like the sale of the zines and our merch collection. So that like brings in like a lot. That's like where we get the bulk of like our funding. And then we also have a like a subscription service on Instagram that's like $5 a month, and that's like exclusive content and stuff. So when people sign up for that, then we know that we always have like some like small amount coming in every month that we can allocate to different things, like whether it's the print distribution or like our events. We like just like put it towards like different things. And then also I would say like online we have like virtual workshops that we do. There's like a donation page so people can give through that. Yeah, and those, I think those would be like the main ways that we're like funding. But the big thing that we really want is like a sponsor or a grant, because that's what I would recommend for anyone who does want to start a magazine, because um, you can get so much from that, and it can like sustain you in like a sustainable way for a long time, especially if you get multiple. So that's like what we are hoping to get next, but it is hard because we're for profit, not a non-profit. So it's been like a whole thing. But yeah, that's kind of like how the finances come in, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and it's interesting because you did not mention ads at all. And I feel like people make the assumption like, oh, magazines, like this is the 1980s where they're making money from ads. And it's like there are still the big companies out there and the big magazines are doing that. But like for us indie mags, like that's not it. Like it really is these like random
It's
small
random
pockets.
stuff.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people think there's a lot more money going on behind the scenes than there is in a lot of cases because they'll see like, oh, you have followers, oh, maybe you're working with big talent or your content is super well produced and you're like DIY baby. Like, thank you.
Really all DIY, like
Yeah.
figuring it out.
No, love it. Love it. Well, I want to shift a little bit into the community aspect because you mentioned it earlier, and your community in particular, I feel like is really special, along with the zine community as a whole, because they contribute, right? They're submitting to be part of it. And that's what I love. That's personally what I love most about the magazine and zine community is a lot of times the followers, they're not just like random followers, they are your collaborators. So would love to hear what kind of building that community around the zine has looked like for you guys.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the community is literally my favorite part too. I think it's so special. It makes me like low-key emotional, guys. But yeah, as far as like going about building it, I think we might have had a cheat code in the sense that our zine is about girlhood, so community is like baked into the DNA. It's really all about like coming together, like making art and being a community with each other. But I think like some of the ways we built that, like you said, like having people like contribute to the zine, and like really like to have their submissions in there and like come to the launch parties and like really feel like this like victory for being published. Like that's been a really cool way of community building. Also our photo shoots, I think that's like one of the biggest ways. They're like such cool like collaborative things. We have people that like come in for creative direction, for photography, for modeling, for styling, and like we all like kind of like gel together in this really cool way. And what's been really cool for me is like seeing people like they meet at a photo shoot or they meet at like a Dreamworld Girl event, and then they like go hang out after for like something like totally random and just like make friends through that. So that's been something that's been really cool to see. And then I would also say being like weird on social media, like not being afraid to like be like your unapologetic self. Like I literally do so much like shit posting on the zine account, and like I like interacting with like the people that
You're
are following.
real. You're a person.
Right, like guys, like I'm just a girl. So like I feel like just like being like your like authentic self online, and like letting people like if they fuck with that, then letting them like like engage with you, and just kind of like literally I consider everyone friends. So like I love just like yapping with people online, and I feel like that's also been really good for community building.
Totally. I feel like something that's really unique about the zine community is, yeah, not only are like the followers collaborators, but like fellow zines as well. Like I never think of it as like competition. It's like, oh, this is so cool that we're all like creating stuff together. Like or like anytime like our writers are like talking about other magazines, I'm like, I want you to write for other zines. Like I want you to be part of
Right.
like that's awesome. Like that's the whole point of all of this, right? Is like we're all just making cool stuff together and moving up together. That's the best part.
No, yeah, I literally get so excited when I see someone that like we published is like getting published by another zine, because I'm
Yes,
like, yay, like you're getting your like art out there. That's so exciting. I love
totally. Love it. Love it. Okay, this is our last section before we open it up to more questions from you guys. Just a couple quick advice things that came to mind for me, and I'm sure others will have additional questions after this, but just super broad, like what advice would you give to someone who wants to start their own magazine or zine but have no idea where to begin?
Yeah, I so this is I always say this. It's like my number one piece of advice is to wait, sorry, the chat is so cute right
Yes, wait,
now.
I know I'm like pop off everyone.
You guys are so cute. Okay, but yes, advice. My number one piece of advice is to like find your niche. And a lot of times it's doing more like inward reflection than it is like looking for inspiration. Like in my opinion, like your niche is like what makes your zine like uniquely you, and no one else can make what you make. So for like for examples, like there's Jelly Zine, and they're like a trinket community zine, and they're so cute, and they've really curated their aesthetic and their community. There's also like Chapstick. There's like a space like for lesbians, and they have like lesbian events and lesbian photo shoots and just like community building, and that's like really cool and like really awesome, and a lot of the stuff they do is in California, so it's like real life L word stuff, like it's so cool. And I feel like if you like are able to like really like look inward, like what's something about my identity, what's something about my art that I feel like other people might be able to like share in community with me. And that's like literally my biggest piece of advice, is like finding that special something, and then like curating like an aesthetic or a brand for it so that other people can latch onto it.
Totally. I love that. Very, very well said. The last question before we open up to questions, which I already see some popping off in the chat, which I love that everyone is sharing their
This
zines.
is so
Yes, I
awesome.
know. Like, please, if you run your own zine, feel free to drop your Instagram. Or if you're thinking of starting one and you want to drop your Instagram, I love to see that. I love that as we're like talking about community too. Okay, last
Right.
one before we open it up. Just what's something you wish you knew before you started everything that you now know?
Yes. That it's never that deep. Like,
Yes,
I'm like
period.
I'm a huge overthinker, and I care a lot about the zine. It's literally my child. I fear, like I birthed her, so I it's hard for me not to like overthink everything. But I think over time, like I've realized that the people that are like consuming what I'm doing, and the people that are into the zine, like they're gonna be into that no matter what. Like I don't have to like put so much pressure on myself, because it's like the small little things that are like drawing them to the zine. And like I feel like I get scared that the love is like conditional, but it's really not. Like once people are in, like they're in, and like it's a cute little community, and that's what's really important about zines. And like that's what I think is the coolest thing about zines, as opposed to like more like corporate like magazines or publications. Like it really is so people powered, and I think that like when I think about that, then I don't overthink as much. I'm like, wait, we're all in this together, and like that's really really cool. So yeah, that's what I would say, is like don't like stress yourself out too much. I know it's hard not to if you're like me, like we get each other, but I know it's hard not to. But at the end of the day, like zines are such a zines and zine communities are really special and really like just sacred, and you'll find your people, and they'll love you no matter what.
Yes, well said. It's definitely a fine line, and it's something I know Siobhan from my team is in. I just saw you in the chat. And something I really try to emphasize to our team is like, yeah, be professional, like meet deadlines, like care about this, but like we're like running a fun little like music magazine. You know what I mean? Like we're all just like doing this for funsies. Like we're not
Yeah,
like curing cancer. Like be professional, take it seriously, but also like we are all doing this for fun because we love doing this. And the second like
right.
you're not having fun, like back off. Like this is it's such a
Exactly.
privilege to be in this space and to be able to create in this way. So like don't ruin it for yourself, you know?
100%.
Sweet. Okay, I know we had a question already earlier. So, yeah, if anyone wants to either drop your question in the chat or you're welcome to raise your hand using the little Zoom feature and I'll call on you and you can unmute. Trying to find, I know there was a question earlier about the team. It was, sorry, I'm trying to look for it. Someone had asked, how do you go through the hiring process for girls to join the team?
Oh my gosh, y'all. The hiring process is extensive. Okay. So basically what we do is we list out like all of the descriptions that we like have for different roles that we're looking for. And that's basically like we put it all on the website. We're like, "Hey guys, we're hiring. Like if you see a role that like appeals to you, do that." And then people send it in via email. So they send in their like I think we usually ask for a resume and a cover letter, and then some roles like require portfolios as well, like if it's like art based or like photography based or something, we like to see like work that you've done before. And then we look at every single application and we comb through it, and then we do interviews. And before the first time I did it, I don't think I did interviews, and I realized that it is actually really important to see people face to face and like actually speak with them, especially like once they've kind of past the like general like hiring like round one, which is like, oh, like how qualified are you, and like do you like align with our mission? And then when you're actually talking to someone, I feel like you get like a sense of who they are. So it became important for me to do like the virtual interviews, and then I did like 70 of those this past season, which was crazy. Like 70 interviews in 1 week is not for the weak. But yeah, so I really like care about like each applicant and like really getting to know them. So that's why I do so many. But that's kind of, yeah, that's the hiring process. And then after that, we have like a rubric that we use so that it's like, equitable, and like every single person is getting like judged the same, or on the same like kind of standard. And then yeah, I talk to my co-editor, I talk to my supervisors, and they kind of give me like their like favorites, and from there we choose our team.
Nice. Thanks for walking us through that. Okay, we
Yeah.
got from Bianca. How do you go about the social media marketing aspect of starting your zine? Did you find that it was easy to establish your niche and community?
Yeah, this is a cool question. When I started the marketing portion with my friend Rachel, who I've been friends with for like 2 years, and she's an amazing, like just like all around like social media person. And we were talking about like kind of like whether we wanted to come off like kind of like mysterious and like edgy and like oh like too cool for school, or if you wanted to be like extra and like weird and just like super like relatable. And I was like, let's be relatable. Like what? Like why are we gonna try and be like edgy? So I think that was like first we decided kind of what we wanted our social media vibe to be, and then from there we started making like reels, TikToks. We got on every single social media platform. Like we're on Tumblr, like we're on like literally everything. And we were just like, yeah, let's just start putting stuff out there and like talking about the zine and like who we are, what we want to do. And honestly, like for the first, I think a lot of people get like frustrated if they don't grow like super fast, but like we did not, like when we ended this year, we had maybe like last year we had 5,000 followers, and for the first like 4 months we had less than a thousand. So like it didn't happen over, like it kind of happened overnight, but it did take some time. So if you're not seeing results like immediately, I wouldn't be too worried about that. A lot of times it's like random stuff that goes viral or like that people see. But yeah, was it easy to establish my niche in the community? For sure, just because like like people love nostalgia, people love girlhood, like those are things that I think people like naturally like gravitate towards. So it was pretty easy to form the community. It was just about like getting other people to see it online.
Totally. Well said. Okay, how about starting and maintaining a zine with the community aspect, but when you're not in a big city? That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I'm from like a little suburb in Georgia, so like I grew up in a small town, like my for 18 years, and like thinking about like starting a zine there is like like if I were to start a zine there, that would be like intimidating for me just because it's not you don't have as many resources. I totally get that. I would say starting online, um just like making an account and like really like when you're posting like hashtags and stuff, putting the hashtags of like the town that you're in or like the area you're in so that people who live there have a better chance of finding it. And then I would also say connecting with as many like local businesses and like community organizations as possible, because maybe you can do an event through them. Like I'm thinking like now like in my hometown we had like libraries, and we had dance studios. We just had like random like small kind of like businesses that were always open to like host events and like have people like come in and like work with them. So I would honestly say like reaching out to like small spaces like that and just saying like, hey, like what if I did like a zine workshop night, and then posting about that on social media. Like I would say that that is like my like biggest piece of advice. But it is, I definitely get that it's like hard when you're like not in a big city, but also just like leaning on your community, because that's like the gift of like small towns, right? Like everyone like knows each other, and you're kind of like just a little bit more close knit. So I would definitely lean on the local businesses and the community aspects.
Nice. Okay, I know we have a lot of questions, so we're gonna try and do be like rapid fire on some. Okay, so how about what website do you guys use? How do you create your website? What platform?
Yes, I created the website, guys. So if you like it, you can thank me. We use Squarespace. So Squarespace is what we use. We pay like a certain amount every year for it to like keep that website up. So yeah.
We're also on Squarespace. Ditto. Squarespace is amazing. Okay, how about this is a good one. When you're first starting out, how'd you get people to join the team?
When I first started out, it was actually really hard. Everyone that was on my team went to my school, even though it wasn't like my school's magazine. Like that was only people from Emerson were seeing it. So, honestly, like if it when you start it, if it's just people that you know or like acquaintances with, that's 100% fine. I would say the reason why people like just like signed up or like fuck it, like I'll believe in your vision, was because they were all people that I worked with in different capacities on different things before. So I would say like lean on people that like network low key with your like peers, like people that I like did dance with work on the zine, people that I did music magazines with work on it. Like it was just like random stuff that I kind of like knew people from, and that's how they were like, you know what, you're pretty good at that. You're like pretty good at this thing, and so I'll trust you with this. So yeah, I guess that's how people joined. I guess.
No, yeah, tap into your community. I mean that is the whole point, right? Okay, how
For sure.
about we got a couple about this. So printing, how do you go about printing? I'll do pricing and paying for zines. What is that process like?
Yeah. So the past two times we've used Mixum, which is like an online website or company that print scenes for you. So all you have to do is like load the designs and software into them. I think we might use a different one this time. I think we're gonna use Printing Center USA. But basically, if you just like look up like zine printing, like you Google it, you'll find like a bunch of different companies that do it for you. And if you're doing like more like editorial, I guess, zines or like vibes, then I would recommend that. But there's also like traditional zine printing, which is something that I don't know as much about. But that's like a little bit easier. I like as far as like you don't want to have to like go through like an online like thing to do it. Like you can do like paper. Um, anyway, paying for prints. I would say a lot of all of our merch sales actually this season covered our zine production. So buy merch, guys, really helps out. But yeah, that's like everything that kind of what I was saying earlier. If you missed it, there'll be like a recording. But what I was saying earlier was that we have like a bunch of different revenues, and from those different like streams of revenues for financing, we put that towards like the actual zine and like making the zine. So we pay for it through stuff like that.
Nice, nice. Okay, I like this one because it's a little bit deeper, but why do you think zines are important specifically in our world today? From Isabel. I like that.
Yeah, zines are the thing about zines is that they've been around for low key forever, and they've always been used for different things. They've been used in revolutionary ways as like forms of protest. They've been used as forms of education and like informing people of things. And I think that that's something that will always be needed. But specifically right now, I think that there's a lot of pushback on creative voices, on queer voices, on voices of color, and I feel like those communities make the most powerful zines and the most powerful kind of like literature and like forms of media. And so I think that right now we need to be louder than ever, especially if you're in the US like I am. Like this like administration is fucking scary, and it can be easy to kind of like want to like curl up in a ball and like hide. And but I think that like zines like now is the time, like make a zine, do like put your work out there, like don't be afraid to make your art, especially if it is coming from one of those marginalized communities, because it's so powerful. So I think that's why they're really important right now.
Snaps, snaps for that. Well said. Let's do like two more questions. I like this one about merch because I feel like you've brought up merch a couple times. So, how do you go about making and releasing merch, especially since it's such a foundational part of like supporting the magazine?
Yes, I love this question. So what I'll do at the beginning of every season is I'll put out like a Google form, and I'll be like, hey, if you make merch, if you make clothes or jewelry or stickers, whatever it is, like apply to be a merch designer for us. And so people will like send in like, like their portfolios or just like things about themselves, and then we choose anywhere from 3 to 5 designers, and all of our designers make 50% of the profit for their designs. So that's kind of like how we go about paying them, because they're kind of doing it just like out of the goodness of their heart. So we're like, okay, we'll make sure you get like 50-50 on that. And so all of the designers, I kind of give them like a general guideline, like, hey, like this is our aesthetic for the theme this year. These are things I think might be good to have. Like I said, it might be good to have bikinis, or it might be good to have like the like airbrush tanks. And then people like go and they make it, but it's honestly like they get a lot of creative freedom in creating the merch. I don't like monitor them. I let them make whatever they want, and it's always cool how it comes together, because I would say the collection was pretty cohesive, but really I just let everyone kind of do their own thing. And then the merch designers like mail all the merch to me. We do a photo shoot for it, which you might have seen online, and then we put it up on the website for people to buy.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for walking us through that. Okay, let's do one more. This is so tough because you guys had such great questions, but I feel like we've covered most of them in terms of themes. How about most effective way to grow your zine's reach without losing its authenticity? It's a great question.
Ooh, yes. Good question. And I'm actually figuring this out for myself. So maybe we can figure this out together, you guys. Yeah, I think that's always been my fear, is that if the zine continues to get bigger and bigger, that, we might be like doing more like monetization stuff, or there might be like more like money that's coming into play, and that might like affect the way that I'm thinking about the zine. Or if we were like to get bought out by someone, which I hope never happens. Keep zines independent, y'all. But like you never know, like there's like always like that question of like what if we lose the magic that makes Dream World Girl. And I would say like my what I'm trying to do right now is to, and I've said this so many times, but like really keep the community in mind, and like the people that have been supporting us from the beginning and who continue to support us and find us and show us so much love. Like I think like really just like always asking like your community members, like what do you guys want? Like what makes you happy? Like what is it about our zine that like you're gravitating towards, and really like leaning on our community so that we don't lose sight of them at all ever. I think is what will keep the authenticity. And then also for me personally, like remembering like why I started it, and like remembering that like my creativity is, and all of the people that work on the zine and their creativity is what makes us us. So as long as we're staying true to ourselves, I think that we won't get too bogged down in the content and the social media numbers and all of that.
Good answer. Yay. Thank you guys so much for, A, thank you everyone on this call for your time. B, Daphne, thank you so much for your just like your transparency and authenticity. Like These are tough questions. I think I appreciate you being just like so real. That's another thing I love about like talking to other magazines. They're like, I'll tell you everything in the books. Like I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll tell you what's going on. And thank you everyone for such thoughtful questions. I think we covered pretty much all of them. But yeah, I love that everyone's starting doing this already. If you are making a zine, you have a zine, or you're interested, like please feel free to drop your handles in the chat if you haven't already. I love that you guys already have that aspect going on, a little community in here. And I guess to kind of wrap us up, Daphne, what's coming up for the zine? Anything, any noteworthy things, any new releases? What's going on?
Yeah, for sure. So, the biggest thing is that on August 23rd, the third issue Reminiscence comes out. So, if you are in Boston or LA or able to commute to those cities, then we're going to do launch parties for it. So, you're going to be able to come, be in community with everyone. We're going to have a bunch of fun activities for you, and you can buy the zine in print. And any merch that we have left over will be there too. So, those will be really fun, and those are coming up in a few weeks. So, definitely come if you can.
Yay! That's so exciting. Well, thank you everyone so much. Just as a reminder, this will be on our YouTube. I'll upload this like literally right afterwards. So if you missed anything or you want to go back, listen to all this valuable knowledge that Daphne shared, you can go back and watch it. And yeah, support zines, like support this community. That's like why we're all here. It's like the best part about doing this stuff. So thank you all so much. And I hope
Guys,
everyone enjoys, yeah, the rest of your Sunday. Bye,
you're all
y'all. Thank you, everyone. See ya.